Number 5 seed, the Ravens at the 4 seed. Titans, no one expects this to be really a blowout. We do expect it to be high scoring, though. Ravens are favored by 3. So you got the two best running teams in the NFL, which is cool to see, matched up. And they don't do it the same way. You got the bell cow with the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry and going over 200 yards per game. And then you got the team effort with J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. Let's just start there real quick.
Yeah.
Which team do you think is going to have the better day on the ground, Ravens or Titans?
Ooh. It's really a tough one. It really is.
Both is probably the
answer.
I mean,
right? I expect both to have some sort of success. I think, though, I'm going to go with the Ravens in that aspect. I am. For this, first off, the first time around, there was no Calais Campbell and no Brandon Williams playing defensive tackle for the Baltimore Ravens. That's a big deal. Yeah. They're really good football players, and they're finally back at 100%. So I think with that aspect, I will go with the Baltimore Ravens run game. Also because, hey, listen, they need to. They're not going to win the game with their pass game. Yeah, you might want them to make a few plays just to keep you honest and do things like that, but they're not going to win that game that way. Where I think if you're Baltimore, you got cover corners. You're going to have to trust them to be A.J. Brown, Corey Davis man-to-man sometimes, and you're going to have to load the box to try to stop Derrick Henry, and I think they can slow him down to a degree.
So I joke that they got to do it in the playoffs. We know what happened last year against the Tennessee Titans, of course, but you made a great point on Monday. It's like they've been playing in the playoffs up to this point.
Right.
They have 5 straight wins. They needed to win all of them to get to this point here today or this weekend. So no team has scored more points than the Ravens since Week 13, so they're rolling. They got things rolling.
They're rolling.
So what is different? So they played last year, obviously, in the playoffs. They played Week 11. Tennessee won in overtime.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, thinking back to that playoff game last year. I mean, the Ravens were, 14-2, and they were the kings of the NFL, really, it seemed like. Offensively, defensively for both teams, are the Ravens any better than they were last year? Are they worse? It seems like the Titans are significantly worse on defense than they were last year.
They are, yes.
But they might be better on offense, though.
They are better on offense,
and
exactly right.
And you can make the argument that the Ravens from that game, they're worse on offense and defense. You could make that argument.
Maybe you could. You could make that argument. Yes, definitely. I think the defense is close to back to that right there, what it was, though. Okay. But it's close. I think your point's real.
Okay.
The other thing that just jumps out to me about this game, and you've heard me say this before, where it's a matchup league. It's a matchup league. And as much as I was saying, man, Buffalo doesn't want to see Baltimore in the wild card round, and some of these other teams, I'm going, man, Kansas City, they don't want to see Baltimore in the divisional round and those kind of things. This is kind of the one team I don't know if Baltimore wants to see them.
Really?
They match up with them. Again, what's the biggest weakness of the Titans football team? Their secondary.
Yeah.
What's the biggest weakness of the Ravens? Their passing game, probably.
Yeah.
So they can't even take advantage of that aspect. Now you have Vrabel, who can now play I don't have to worry about that much, and I can start to be Johnny Creative. Bill Belichick taught me to do this to stop just this one phase of it, and that's where they've had the advantage a little bit. So that's where it's going to be different. Now, the first time around, the Ravens were just getting into the offensive line issues. Ronnie Stanley had just got hurt. The center position was what it is right now. They were kind of moving guys around and trying to figure out how they wanted to play. That's not the case the last 4 or 5 weeks. So their offensive line they're playing and functioning and executing at a much higher level than they were at that time of the year.
Yeah.
The Ravens were going through a little bit of a low right there because of some of those injuries. So that's a big thing. Hey, we know, yes, the Ravens, they have to make a few plays throwing the football. Mm-hmm. He didn't throw the ball well the first time around. He missed some throws in the football game. Had a bad interception where the guy was open and he threw a duck and lost control of the ball. It got intercepted. So
that's always been your question with their offense,
right?
It
is a big question, no doubt.
In the playoffs, you're going to face a team at a point in a game where you're going to need to make one or multiple plays through the air.
Yes.
And do they have the ability to do that? If that comes up.
No, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit got to be like what Dad said. It's just got to be run and run it more and run it more.
And hope that's enough.
And drop back the pass and have intentions of being aggressive in that. That's where I want to see, Baltimore every now and then. I'd like to see them. One of the things I wrote about the game that can change, because I really came away with the game going, I think both defenses won the battle, right? I thought the Ravens defense really outplayed the Titans offense, and then some of the big plays that were they made some stupid mistakes or tried to strip a guy and let him break a bunch of tackles to run in an end zone. It was things like that where I went, yeah, no, I'm giving Titans credit, but the Ravens kind of messed that up and do that. Right. And I thought the Titans defense as a whole won the battle against the Ravens offense too. And even some of the plays the Ravens made, I went, okay, that was a good play by the Ravens, but I don't know if you can consistently expect to make that play, right? That kind of thing.
Right.
All right. So, but the one thing I wrote about, the end of the game that kind of shot out to me a little bit.
The overtime,
the last drive of the fourth quarter and all of that. Because, one, Vrabel is going to take some chances to sell out and stop the run. He comes from Bill Belichick. He's going to get you in some down and distances every now and then where he's going to go, I'm going to go for it here and try to make it 2nd and 14.
Yep.
So now they have to throw, and then they're not in the position of power that way, right? So they're going to do some of that. They got to give them some stuff to think about a little too. And here's where I would like to see Baltimore do a little different. Don't always play in a phone booth. It doesn't always have to be that way. To me, they play in the hands of the Titans in a lot of ways, those ways. The Titans have decent size and a decent middle linebacker. And, I think they're okay with that style of football. Hey, their head coach is a phone booth guy. I think they're completely fine with that. And last year they tried to do that to them in the playoffs. And the Titans were very good with their run fits and creating a little chaos, and they never let the Ravens' run game get on the edge. That was the thing they did last year. It looked like, Lamar's going to get on the edge, and there was a guy there, and they forced him inside, and we saw games for 40 all year that became games of 5 against the Titans because they defended it the right way. But here's the thing I'll take away from one little interesting angle at the end of the football game. They got in the spread formation a little bit. And I just want to go, hey, we can still run some of those run plays we have with 2 tight ends and all of that and still be in a shotgun. Receivers are spread out a little bit.
Right.
And make the Titans have to worry about, Hollywood Brown's in the slot uncovered, and yet, okay, we have the run game. Give your guys some lanes. Give Lamar some space, too. It's spread out, everything like that. You fake the ball up the middle. Now he can get on the edge, and there's not like a linebacker or defense end and another linebacker there that he's got to make miss. No, there's some space for me to actually make a move because the nickel corner's way out there worried about our receiver. To me, that was just some of the things I would like to see them just change a little bit about the way they approach altogether.
What about on the other side of the ball?
Yeah.
Because we got this question from Don Jupp 76, which is probably his birth year. It means he's about 44 now, so about our
Happy
age.
44th.
Happy 44th, if it's your birthday today. Does Baltimore have the defensive backs to play a lot of man coverage so the rest of the defense can take care of Derrick Henry? You got Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith are good, but they don't seem to be that dominant this season. So that's a good question.
Yeah.
So trying to slow down Derrick Henry, which is, you figure that's how you win this game, is you prevent him from having that huge 200-yarder.
They've got to put them on an island and do some of that.
And would they be
They
successful?
can do it.
Yeah.
They can do it.
I mean, you got A.J. Brown,
I
you
know.
got Corey Davis.
It won't be easy, but they're not outclassed by any stretch of the imagination. Even in the first game, they did a number of that. They were okay. They weren't in too horrible of a spot here and there. Marcus Peters got burned one time. It was a zone coverage. It wasn't even an island type play where it was a run fake kind of right at him, and he was staring in the backfield. He's worried about, oh, damn, I need to get up there and stop Derrick Henry. And he took one wrong step, and A.J. Brown got behind him on a little post corner route. So you're going to have to be disciplined on that. But, yeah, I do think that they can do that. And, added to that, Baltimore is going to have to take some chances too. They're going to have to play a little bit of the, hey, we got to maybe run blitz on 1st and 2nd down and try to get them behind the chains too. Yeah. Make them get into a little bit of a shotgun throwing the ball type game, because that's not what Tennessee wants to do either. So I think there is going to be that aspect of the football game altogether. Mm-hmm. But I do think the big thing with those guys being healthy up front, Patrick Queen, who had a few bad run fits as a rookie linebacker in that first matchup earlier this year. Hey, it's good that he got to see that one time around. He'll have a better feel this time around. And here's another thing they did too much in the game. Early in the game, they got to Tannehill with 5- and 6-man pressures. As the game went on, they never even got close. Never got close. I want to go to Tennessee. Figured it out. They blocked it up. There was no point to keep sending the 5- or 6-man into. No, get out of that. Don't always do that. There's no point in sending 5 or 6 if you're not even getting close. After you see 2 or 3 times where you go, we're not getting close with these pressures, then get them in coverage. Help with a crosser or something like that where they got beat a few times in the game altogether. So that would be one adjustment I would look at. But I think this is a very evenly matched football game, and one that I definitely don't know who I'm going to pick as I sit here Wednesday.
Ravens favored by 3 in this game that pits 2 COVID outbreak teams throughout the season, unfortunately.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.